Oh, yeah. And we're live. Welcome to paraglidingtalk.com. I'm your host, Robert Michaels. Glad you are here. Oh, we're in for a treat tonight. We have a very special guest. Dave Hunt is with us tonight, folks, all the way from sunny Southern California. Oh, yes, he's a loco, and he is loco. Yes, sir. Tonight's going to be a great show. So glad that you're here. As everybody is logging on and logging in, make sure you say something in the chat. Your name's getting written down so you can win something. Right about halfway through the show, we're going to give something away. Let me just get my stuff here squared away. There's a little order of business before we dive into that. Anthony Peregringo is in moderation. Craig Taylor is moderating. Sean Nafsker is moderating as well. If you have questions that you want me to ask our special guest, you can ask the moderators and they will get it. Sometimes I see the chat, but not always. Put your questions in there and then they feed them to me as required. We have a great line of sponsors, and I want to encourage all of you to go and use the sponsors' services. One of those is PPG Smoke. Go check out their stuff. There's all kinds of good things on their website. You can find out about what they got for sale at ppgsmoke.com. Also, the show is brought to you by PPG Zone. Josh Perry, he has an online. It's basically it's a social media platform for pilots. Go check them out, and he's got some pretty cool stuff on there. Go check out ppgzone.com. Also, this show is brought to you by Midwest Parajet. MidwestParajet.com is the website. Also, if you accidentally blow up a prop, and maybe you're a paramotor guy, I have a paramotor now, and there's something about the nervousness of blowing up a prop when you drove somewhere far. It'd be nice to have an extra prop. Maybe go do a little surfing and maybe a Black Friday purchase. Get yourself an extra prop. You know where to buy it? Well, I do. Paramotorprops.com. The website is paramotorprops.com. The guys are amazing. You'll really like the group that sells those. Also, the show's brought to you by Larry and Chris from paraorange.com. Paraorangeproducts.com is the website. Either one of those websites work. They got all kinds of stuff to protect your gear. They sell motors and wings, as far as I know. Go check out their websites, paraorange.com, paraorangeproducts.com. So this guest is an exceptional guest. Now, some of you may have seen him. He's come to moderate a couple different times. We've had him on the show as well as a guest. And also, we've got, I didn't realize the extent of David Hunt's flying addiction. This dude is serious about flying. He's got 1,000 hours in general aviation. Private pilot's license. He's got his helicopter rating, and also he is a free flight paraglider pilot. We're going to try to convince him tonight to get a motor before the night's over. He has 200 hours of free flight. He has about 3 SIVs. He did one with Brad Ganuscio, a couple with Max Marion. So he's got some really good training, and we're going to talk tonight about some things that he's learned along the way, and so I'm really excited about that. David, thank you for coming on the show, man. Really appreciate it.
You know, it's funny, you were talking one out of aviation. What I haven't done is PPG, and you kicked this off talking about exploding props, and I'm thinking maybe I don't want to do PPG. Yeah. It doesn't sound good at all.
Yeah, it's expensive.
How many props do you go through?
I've never blown one up, and I don't plan on it. But if it happens, I know where I can buy one.
Exactly.
The one I have now I won it on another paragliding show. It was amazing. They spun the wheel and I won. So perfect timing. By the way, this show is already cranked up. There was a bunch of people in the chat before we even got started. So I don't know if you told your friends or what, but this show is it is held together by sponsors and the people on Patreon and PayPal. I want to just say thank you to you guys for supporting the show over the years and contributing to my habits of flying, my flying needs, I should say. So thank you guys for supporting the show. David, I want to crack this thing off by talking about your fascination with flying. How did it start? I know that you may have shared this on a previous episode, and that was like a year ago. Nobody remembers.
I was kind of born into it. So
Okay.
my dad was heavy in the aviation, both just for fun, and he was a naval aviator, flew fighters in the Navy for 20 some odd years, and then flew for United. But his passion was aviation to begin with. So I was kind of brought up in it. Started flying myself when I was about 16, and just have never stopped.
So you started flying fixed wing at 16?
I did. Yeah.
And obviously that was your dad's influence to say, okay, it's your turn, son, you go ahead. At what point did you say, this is what I'm about?
Yeah. There's always that father-son push. And I think I rebelled a little bit, primarily because he was my chief instructor to start with, which was always,
oh, wow,
always presents issues. He was very careful to not let that go too long. And then as I was starting to get near my private, he pushed me to somebody else to make sure there wasn't nepotism involved. But there was definitely that father-son, push to begin with. But it wasn't that long before I realized how amazing of a sport that or activity it was, and how many different facets of aviation there are to explore. So, done aerobatics and formation flying and some bush flying, and so yeah, there's tons to explore in aviation.
So you guys may have got to see this video. We had to take it down for YouTube reasons. But David took me on a flight. He's a local. He lives not too far from me. And he actually flew from his airport to my airport and came pick me up. And we flew around and we harassed the people at Blossom. It was actually pretty fun. And at the end of the flight,
the FAA that's listening, there was no harassment of people involved.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. When we say harass the people, we were in our rights to fly around, and we knew the people that were at Blossom, and so we were just looking down at them, if you want to call that harassment. Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that. FAA, they are watching my videos. So anyways, by the way, if you are the FAA and you're watching, please hit the subscribe button and like the video. So we've got a couple of things. This is what I typically will ask guys that came out of GA into free flight paragliding. Was there anything that transferred over that you were like, man, I really wish that the free flight guys knew about this? Is there anything that really stands out in your mind?
I think that the biggest thing I noticed, there was a lot that transferred from fixed wing over, but there was a lot you don't know. Different type of aircraft, the micro meteorology was fascinating to learn about. But I think one of the biggest things that I noticed was the difference in general aviation or commercial aviation compared to PG in schooling in terms of like SIV maneuvers, that's not a required activity before you get your license. So you're let loose without sort of much training in the way of, here's what to do when things go wrong. And I know there's insurance issues on that, but I think that's a weakness in the current system.
Wow.
For paragliders.
Never thought about that.
I mean,
wow,
yeah,
interesting.
As a P2, what have you done? Some pitch oscillations and, pitch pendulums, some big ears.
Yeah.
Beyond that,
barely launch.
I'm asking you who's self-taught, Robert.
Yeah. I can barely get my wing out.
Yeah, but
P2.
there's still, yeah. I think the longer, and I'm by no means an expert in this at all. I'm brand new, but I've noticed how much there is to learn over the first couple of years. So it's been an eye opener that, from a P2 or P3, you don't know that much yet. And I've learned a lot, and I know I have a hell of a lot more to learn. So
we've got a really unique flying site here in Southern California. We really enjoy that flying that site. Over the last few, I would say, seasons, we'll just call it last few seasons, we've had some people hit the deck. One guy perished. This was just a month ago. We talked about it on the previous show. Go check out the last episode. Well, we're on episode 187. I think it was 186, 185. We talked about, somebody that came, they were self-taught for the most part. they made some poor choices and flew into the lee side of the mountain. Um, I know in general aviation, you might talk about lee side, flying in the lee of mountains. Those things come up. Was that something that you would say helped? And maybe when you're talking about,
No, I mean, I think a lot of the meteorology as a fixed wing pilot is more, frontal systems and, obscuration of activity that, the lee and rotor, you get some of that in mountain flying, but not nearly to the level that you learn about in paragliding, if you take the time to learn about it. So I would still consider that more micrometeorology. So there was a lot of that, I knew not to fly in the lee, and flying some of the backcountry stuff. Yes, you learn about that, but that's not primary, and it's a much bigger meteorology and fixed wing to start with, at least.
I would argue nano,
exactly.
Nano meteorology.
Exactly.
I'll stand outside and just, feel the wind. I'll have a good idea what it's going to be like at Blossom just from my front yard now.
What's funny, in fixed wing now, I notice a lot more, lift. So you're flying along and you can, whoop, there it is. So you can actually use it in fixed wing as well, turn and actually still climb on the bigger thermals.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm watching sailplane. Have you done any sailplane stuff?
No, effectively, no. That's of interest for sure.
It looks pretty amazing.
Yeah.
There's just not enough time.
There's so many things, I know. And
so many things, so many ways you can fly. Yeah. But my thought in having you come on the show initially was to discuss your recent SIV. And so maybe I want to just kind of preface my first SIV. If you remember watching the video, I picked David Hunt up and drove him. He didn't let me talk. I just had to drive, and then he was working on his computer, and I just had to be quiet and he wouldn't let me look at what he was working on. I just kept my head, and he yelled at me a couple times, but it was worth it to be able to watch David Hunt do an SIV. We had
more worth it to watch Amber do the SIV.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Yeah. She still hasn't come on the show
to talk about. Get her on. We should have had her on for this one to talk about incidents. But
yes, dang it. Yeah, if you guys remember, she was the one flying the pink wing, and she got wrapped. She got gift wrapped in the pink wrapping paper.
Handcuffed, yeah.
And handcuffed, and yeah, she was trying to do a SAT, her first SAT.
Yeah.
And she exited with way too much energy, flung up into the dude.
I know a little bit more about that now, Robert.
Yes. and we are going to talk about that right after the half-hour mark. Just there, that's the teaser. Pretty wild scenario. Lots of stuff to be learned. Let's talk a little bit about your second SIV. Well, let's just rewind. Let's share a little bit about your experience with the first SIV, and then what were your takeaways?
That was with Max up at Berryessa, and again, that was the eye opener of how much there is to learn. I wish there was an easier way to have access to a safe environment to progress in. It's fantastic going to an SIV and going through the 3 days. And that's about probably all you can do when you first start, just from the, the overload of it. But then you go away for, 6 months, a year, and a lot of that starts to fade away. It'd be really nice to have an environment in the US where it'd be easier to, every couple of months, at least go up and fly some acro. But regardless of the lack of the ability to do that, being able to do it at a place like Berryessa is pretty amazing. It's an environment where things are going to go wrong, but you're comfortable from a perspective of somebody's there to rescue you, and there's a fairly soft surface below you, depending on how hard you go in.
Yeah,
to practice in. But I think also having 12 people there and watching from the ground, you learn almost as much as you do in the air for what you're learning.
Good point. Yeah, what would you say that the biggest takeaway on your first SIV was?
I don't know if there was a single one. I mean, I think it was the biggest takeaway was, wow, there's a lot to learn.
Mm.
A lot of different scenarios so I don't know if there was a single takeaway. The hands up situation. While I think that is overused, I think as Dylan talks about, hands up is only right when hands up is the right answer. But just how safe the gliders are. And again, I'm using the word safe. They're not safe,
Forgiving.
but forgiving, to some degree. But
Yeah.
that's definitely not something you want to rely on.
Yeah, that shouldn't be your
That shouldn't
immediate
be your
go-to.
go-to. Yeah,
But
shouldn't be your go-to.
you argue about the lack of training these guys have right out of the gate, the P2, and they'll say a lot of times a good pilot is a dead pilot. The guy who just doesn't do anything, he'll just glide to the ground eventually. But the overcorrecting, too much inputs, this show was birthed because of a cascade that I created.
Yeah.
Wing would have probably just popped right back open, but I decided I want to whip that thing into a frenzy.
Yep. And that got me in trouble here recently too, which we'll talk about. So yeah.
Oh dear goodness.
Yep.
I'm just glad you're on this side of the dirt.
What was your takeaway from that?
My takeaway was I learned how to do a sat.
Yeah. We still haven't done our synchronized sats over Blossom, which now probably won't. But
no, we will.
Okay.
Now that you know that what
Mastering
you can get away with.
Okay.
And it's actually a collapse sat, and I forgot how to do it already. What don't you just
see? It's my point.
Okay.
We don't do them enough.
Okay, so let's think about this for a second. You're in your brakes. You
This should be good.
pull your legs. I seriously don't remember now. How do we do a collapse set?
I didn't do a sat at this last one, but I remember it collapsing. I think it's leaning in and pushing the outside riser away. But
okay,
I'm
yeah.
guessing we probably shouldn't be giving advice on this one.
We're gonna have to try
Everybody
Blossom.
Go try this. Yeah.
Try collapse sat and make a video. I want to make sure your camera's on. Oh man. Yeah. So
was that your last SIV?
That was my first and only so far.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm due for another one for sure. That was incredibly fun. And I want to say this, you asked me what my biggest takeaway. My biggest takeaway was that SIVs are actually amazing. And I went in with the mindset of, this is stupid. I had this crappy analogy stuck in my head that you don't go crash a car into a wall to see what it does when you crash. Why would you mess up a perfectly good wing at an SIV? And that's bogus. I don't know where that came from. I learned so much. The real eye opener for me was I would say how quickly it'll pop back open on when you're in a full stall and you're kind of in back fly, and then you pops back out and then it shoots forward and you check the surge. That part of checking the surge is kind of an art form. So if you're a brand new pilot and you don't know, you're not prepared to check the surge, you're in rude awakening. You're going to go through lines. It's almost a guaranteed reserve ride. And so it was cool to actually like routinely check the surge, pop it out, do this, do that, check the surge. And that's what always came to is do this, do that, do this, check the surge. And a lot of guys will have issues because they either overcorrect or undercorrect. So I got that. Mom donated $5 to the super chat. Thank you, Mom. She's my PR department.
Yeah, I think it was the last idea was a jump and wing for me. So I'd moved from the Iota to the Delta, and how different that was in a number of ways, but primarily in stall and recovery from stall. It was considerably different. So after getting a new wing recommended, I see why they recommend you to do an SIV on your new wing.
Do you remember when you threw your reserve?
What's that?
Remember when you threw a reserve at the SIV?
I threw it twice. Well, I threw it once, but it deployed twice. Do you remember that? On my first stall, coming up out of the stall, I caught it with my
That's what it
hand.
was.
Didn't know it was out until I heard on the radio, reserves out. That's my first ride.
I was wondering why my wing was flying out in front of me and it just
I couldn't catch it.
wouldn't work. Stop working for some reason. I was actually going to pull up the SIV right now. What did you learn about that, by the way? That SIV, the reserve ride. Because you did it twice.
You know, I think a lot of there's a fear of deploying, a natural fear of deploying your reserve, even at the SIVs. And I know that I think that stops a lot of people from actually throwing. But I'm very glad that I had that in a controlled environment before I had to throw in anger, and knowing what the feelings were and how things were going to happen. I think it would have been a much worse experience if I hadn't had an SIV under my belt before I had to throw in anger.
Gyro Jeffro just donated $2 to the super chat. He said, "We're from the FAA and we're here to help." Geriatric PPG donated $10 to the super chat. Thank you, kind sirs. Very, very kind of you.
In the FAA watching and cuss words, I'm nervous to say anything now.
We're suppressed.
From the FFA.
The FFA, that's right. Oh, I do want to show you that. Let me just share my screen real quick. David flew to the SIV in his RV6, the airplane. Just screen share here. We won't share the sound. We'll just share the video. Yeah, let's do this full screen here. Yeah, so this is David's ride. And then he demanded that I come pick him up. See, right there, he was pointing. He was like, "Hurry up and grab my bags." So then he made me go shopping for him. This was all his food. It's like, geez.
Notice I'm ahead of you.
Yep.
When,
basket full of
that
joy.
was right at the start of the pandemic, if I remember.
Oh, I think you're right. Yeah, because when I got on the plane, see right there, he was like, "Please, no talking. We need you to be quiet." All right, that's all I want to troll you with. That was
busy man.
I was so excited, dude. SIV is just amazing. So yeah, at one point we get out into the air and we did our thing. And Dave accidentally throws his reserve. Oh, here, I have it on video. Here it is.
I've seen this.
Okay. Yeah, everyone wants to see this.
No, I'm not sure I've seen this.
This is good content. I don't think you have. I didn't oh yeah. He broke it. Very nice. Very nice. Oh, dang it. I didn't catch the actual moment that it happened, or I edited that out. But I like how you depowered the wing. Here we go. Now that looks really nice and just soft, but I bet you that jarred you a little bit. No?
That didn't. You want me to get into what did jar me or not yet?
Yeah. Oh, no.
Okay.
We're gonna spin the wheel, and right after we spin the wheel, we're gonna talk about that.
That was like an SQR. I think it was a 140 SQR, so a decent size, square round, and had a nice low impact relative. Like I wouldn't have been injured if I'd hit the ground on that one.
Okay. All right.
I know there were some at our SIV, and it was an eye opener for them to see how hard they did hit. Some of the guys had undersized reserves and hit harder than you'd want to hit.
Yeah, I've heard this from a couple people. Woody Gamertag actually had to throw both of his reserves one day. He was doing acro with the motor, and he was saying he hit super hard. Oh, you had like a little life jacket on there. I didn't see that before. Did it not deploy?
I think that was one where I had the option to deploy. I didn't have the saltwater tablet. I had mixed results with that. With the inflatable ones, And being in the harness, I saw one guy almost get choked out by it when it blew up. So I'm more a proponent of the ski life jackets that are just the foam rather than the air that blows up, because of all the lines and his harness. It gave him problems. I think it was
No kidding.
I think it was Chris.
Oh, wow. No kidding. That's a little scary. The thing that's supposed to save you destroys you.
I'll be better than not having one.
Yeah. Lake Berryessa is such a cool place. I wish we had one closer to home. Oh gosh, this was terrifying. Look at my face of concern. I don't remember what I did right here. It was like, oh yeah, we're going to do a full stall right now. You ready, Robert? Hang on, we're going for a ride. And then he tells me, okay, stuff it down. He wanted me to hold it for 10 seconds. I just did my thing, just falling. Oh my gosh, terrifying. Don't do this at home, kids. Yeah, do it at someone else's house. So when you shifted gears after the SIV, did you feel like at the next few times that you flew, you're like, dude, I got this now compared to what you were before? Did you have any extra confidence? Was there anything that you took away that you would say that was a booster, man?
No. Well, yes and no. I felt I probably was more skittish flying after that for a while. Sort of, okay, there's a lot out there I don't know. And here's what the wing can do and the power from it. So it didn't give me it gave me confidence having some of that knowledge, but it was also like, okay, a reminder that this is aviation and you need to take it seriously.
The most recent SIV, and then we'll spin the wheel. What was your big takeaway from the second SIV with Max Marion?
The one I just did was with Dylan.
Okay.
Let Fly out of Eagle.
Okay.
And both Max and Dylan, great instructors. And
that was at Berryessa again?
That was at Berryessa. Yeah.
Okay.
Same spot. We've got different boats
that
are out there, but we had Paul Markham driving, which was really good. So
no kidding.
Yeah.
Paul's driving the boat now, huh?
So it was Mateo. So
wow.
We had some two locals towing us.
Was it like bro tows?
They did bro tows up there, but I was part of the normal class. But
okay.
Yeah, they were up
rad.
The driver. So San Diego represent.
Heck yeah, man. We're dominating even in Berryessa.
But
6 hours away.
The second SIV for me was a continuation of refining techniques, but this came I was 2 or 3 hours after my last incident, so a lot of that was practicing what I had done in my reserve toss and anger to make sure that didn't happen again, because it was pure pilot error on my side. So make a lot more sense if I can talk about that, Robert.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that right now. Let's spin the wheel, Sean.
Yeah. All right. So no more names from this moment on, because I've got them all in here. All right. And give me just a second here, because I got to get this ready. I got to change my background. Let's see here.
Background.
My background. So I'll go here. All right. I believe I got that corrected here. Let's see here. There we go. All right.
For those of you that are watching the show after the fact, I know there's a whole group of people that watch the show after the fact. I appreciate you too. So you may not be watching live, but I appreciate you chiming in. I noticed there's hundreds of people that watch after the fact. So you're probably working right now and you're watching this on the clock, getting paid. You're smart.
All right, Robert, you ready?
Yeah, I got to just lock your screen so that there's no disruptions here. Spotlight for everyone. All right. By the way, this spin is brought to you by American Allied Drains and Plumbing. If you're in the San Diego area and you're in need of plumbing, American Allied Drains and Plumbing is your company. Mention Paragliding Talk, you get a 10% discount on your services. Their phone number is 844-777-9055. Also, this spin is brought to you by calamityKiteClinic.com. That's Sean's ground handling school. And if you want to support him and you want to learn some incredibly valuable lessons about free flight or paramotoring on the ground, there is literally no one else that is offering this kind of a thing. So Calamity Kite Clinic, support him, make his dreams come true.
CalamityKiteClinic.com.
Oh, and we're giving away some AMS oil tonight for you paramotor people. Come on, Robert Michaels, let's go. Slow it down.
Who's it gonna be?
Oh, it's really close. It might be Craig Taylor. Dang it. He lives on an island.
It's Jerry.
No way. It is
might
Jerry.
be Jerry.
No way. Dude, that wheel is greasy.
Go.
Oh,
Go. Oh, no.
Oh,
Gringo!
Congratulations, Gringo.
Gringo literally just bought, like, how much do you buy?
2 gallons, baby.
2 gallons of Sabre.
Nice.
He's gonna add to it.
Congratulations.
He's gonna add to it.
He's gonna dump it in. Oh my gosh. Spin it again. I'm gonna give it to Gringo too.
Do you want me to spin it again?
Yeah, spin it again.
Do I keep his name or do I pull it?
Oh, you can pull it.
No, just leave it in there. It's fine. Spin it again. He ain't gonna
pull it. Remove. Go. Click.
Okay, I pulled your name. All right.
There you go.
Spin it again.
Hey,
Here we
Hot
go.
Buttered Steve also donated $10 to the super chat.
Awesome. And I've got him in there as well. He's probably thinking that maybe that might rig the wheel somehow.
His comment is amazing. He said, if we see each other in our dreams, let's goof around a bit and pretend like we don't know each other. I like that.
Heck yeah.
Hey.
I don't know what's going on there. I don't know. It just automatically did. Okay, that's just news telling me what the weather's doing.
He was trying to censor the winner.
No, actually, it was something coming up with the
Oh my gosh.
toolbar or something.
Nelson's wings.
What? No.
Oh, it was so close.
Maybe Gerald Galapos.
Gerald.
Maybe. Oh,
wow,
Fabric
that was
Flyer.
oh my
Congratulations,
gosh, that
Fabric
was so
Flyer.
close.
Awesome, man.
Really
Congratulations.
Flyer. Congratulations, winner chicken dinner. Go to the website, paraglidingtalk.com/contact. Put your information in there, and I will send you some Sabre AMS oil. AMS oil is a really good oil. There's a reason why I use it. It's really good for your motor, and it came highly recommended from a lot of people. You know what I mean? You guys want to see that? You want to see what's her name go into the wing again? Let's do it again. Dude, I thought that she married Chris, and because they went to a wedding together and they took some pictures, and I started calling her Mrs. Otmar, and she was like, "Oh no, we're not married." Oh gosh, that must have been so scary. Right here, she's handcuffed.
She's on the edge of it. At least she's on the edge of it.
Yeah, she's trying to get her hands out.
Her arm's stuck in the lines.
Yep.
I think she peed a little.
Yeah, she definitely had some. Oh,
I know I did the first time I saw that. I was like, whoa.
I was sitting on toe as the next one off. It wasn't helpful for my mental state.
And that was after you had already had an accidental reserve.
I'm just glad somebody was there to have been able to help her out, you know, like that would, of all the places for that to have happened, it's better that it happened there, you know?
Yeah, the purpose of the SIVs. It also gives you appreciation for, you don't want to go into the water if you're not in an SIV, like how quickly you would be in trouble and drown.
Die.
Yeah. I'd much rather.
No joke. Oh, my computer does not like all this action. Oh,
Robert's
sorry,
breaking the
guys, I'm
internet
sure it's all
again.
glitched out right now. I'm gonna stop doing this. There we go. Okay, we should be good now. So Dave recently had an event. He take us through what happened and what did you learn?
Sure. Well, I learned a lot. And the biggest thing was margins. It was a beautiful day. We've talked about the site at Blossom. So beautiful, clear, buoyant day. There was a group of probably 10 or 15 of us that were flying the site. I got as far west as I've ever been, and had come back to the LZ and got up again late in the day and shot across back to LCAP. There was a bunch of guys that were over at LCAP. They saw me coming across. They were just about to head back. And I had gotten up and was fairly high. And they said, let's go pick up Dave and we'll all fly back together. So they started coming my way, and I'm above the kind of the main area of LCAP. And I'm high and it's clear. So I thought, well, I'll start doing some, mini acrobatics to get down to the level. So I was playing with some wing overs and spiral dives, and so smooth and easy. And I stopped paying attention and sort of got lost in the moment. And in my spiral dive, I looked up on one of my turns and I realized that the guys had gotten a lot closer than I thought, and not dangerously close, but enough that I thought, okay, I need to turn away, and took the energy and from the spiral dive. And as I turned away, I didn't come out straight. I overcooked the exit and went up kind of like a large wing over. And as I was coming up over the top, got above the wing, was deep in the brakes, trying to keep the wing open, and went slacklined. And the first mistake there was I stayed with my hands down, trying to keep the wing open. As soon as I started going slackline, I didn't go hands up. So I fell through and immediately went into stall, and started recovering from the stall. And I'd only had one or two stalls in this new wing before I was there. I had noticed at the SIV that it took a lot longer for me to recover on the new wing than it did the old one. And it turned out to be a technique issue, but I hadn't figured it out by that stage. So I was coming out too slowly, and went right into a helicopter. And I'm, I don't know, 600-800 feet off the deck at that stage. And in my head, I realized from the SIV, I knew how long it had taken me to recover before, and that I may or may not have this. And so, the head immediately went, it's time to throw. And so released the brakes, went for and I think at that stage, Connor was on the radio too, saying, hands up, hands up. As soon as I released the brakes and went for my reserve, wing shot forward, and started flying, just like you read in the book that people are over controlling. But by that time, I had thrown, opened up beautifully above me, started to relax for about a half a second. And then I looked right and realized where I had thrown, on the side of LCAP, and that the wind is blowing me into the cliff. And I never fly without gloves. But that day I had forgotten my gloves. And I remember at the launch thinking, what could go wrong? It's one day, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
The weather's amazing.
Oh,
So when I had let go of the brakes, what was in front of me, the wing was now flying. So I was starting to downplane were the A's. And I remembered from the first SIV, well, we can kill it with the A's, but there was so much pressure on that I was just slicing my hand. And I was getting low enough that I thought, okay, screw it. I need to focus on my landing instead of killing the downplane, which worked for and against me. Because the wing was still flying, it actually had turned and it pulled me into the one kind of safe area to land on the side of LCAP. And I ended up coming down really hard, but in the right place to come down. I was glad with where I hit. I hit on the side of a cliff that had about a 60-degree granite slope. It was able to sort of get in the PLF position, but hit hard on my leg. And it was about maybe 6 feet above kind of a little swale in the ground. So I hit with my foot, slid down, and then hit on my harness while the wing was downplaning. I think if I had hit in a flat area, I probably would have broken my back or head injury. So I was really glad to have hit where I did hit, but I had screwed my foot up. So landed on the side, and when I hit, I had an external mic, and I can hear everybody saying, somebody's throwing the reserve, and they figured out it was me. We're starting to ask if I'm okay, and I'm responding on the radio, but obviously nobody's hearing me because they're talking about trying to get somebody over me to see if I'm all right. Finally figured out that in the impact, the external mic had pulled away a bit, and so I was able to get that in and tell everybody I was okay. So let the adrenaline sort of die for a little bit, and had remembered from, I think, probably Gavin's podcast, the beauty of having the Garmin devices and pressing the SOS button. You start some of the insurance running. So I had pressed that. In hindsight, another stupid decision that I made was at launch that day, I had the Garmin on my deck, but I didn't turn it on. It's a sight flying day. I'm not too worried about it. If I need it, I can turn it on and fire it off. What I didn't think about was if you end up in a canyon with a limited view of the sky and you turn it on, it's not going to get a good view of where you are. So by the time I turned it on and Garmin started trying to figure out where I was, they could only get down to like a 5 kilometer radius around me, which I had plenty of people around me who knew where I was. So it was all right. But if I was in the wild, that would have sucked. So even if you're not planning to use it, keep it on while you're flying. So a takeaway, but that was the start of the adventure. And that ended up in, it was late in the evening. So it was near sunset, and I knew I'd injured my foot, was stable, but wasn't going to be able to walk out on my own. So it called, or started the process of calling. I think Jerry was there. He was at least listening in on the show. It was a bunch of people that jumped in to help. It's great having such an awesome flying community here in San Diego. But yeah, with the sun going down, they brought in a helicopter, an Astria helicopter above me, which figured out where I was. They didn't have any winch gear, so they coordinated with San Diego Fire, who came out in a Huey. But by that time, the sun was going down and the Huey wasn't night capable. So they went away. They brought out a Blackhawk with night vision. But by the time they got on site, it was too dark for them. They were worried about rotor clearance with where I had ended up. So they weren't able to hoist that night. And I had said, look, I'm good. I'm stable. I'm not going to be able to get out of here on my own, but I'm stable. So they flew away. They ended up putting a SAR crew on the ground up top at about 1 a.m. And they tried to get in from the top at night to get to me, and they couldn't get in safely either. So we said, look, just, I'll spend the night here, and we'll try again in the morning. So they had the Blackhawk came in the following morning around 9, and they were able to establish a hover, and they lowered a paramedic down and winched me out. So
did they do CPR?
No, thankfully.
Dude, that's pretty cool that they showed up at search and rescue at 1 o'clock in the morning. So were you knocked out, just kind of sleeping there, and all of a sudden these guys are rappelling down to you?
They were community. It was nice having the 2 meter radio.
Okay.
So part of that was the fire department has 2 meter radios, and so they were able to have direct conversation with me, which was good. I was able to have cell service, and I had an extra battery with me, which was great. So
you can play solitaire and
watch
Candy Crush.
Well, it happened to be the night of the Perseid meteor shower, so it was an amazing. I'm on the side of watching the Perseid meteor shower. Yeah,
no kidding.
But having the radio and having 2-way communication, they were able to talk. But the San Diego Fire was awesome. They were continuing to come, even though I was all right. But it was nice to see how much effort they were putting in to getting to me. But yeah, it was, so the whole sequence was complete pilot error. From, it was complacency of how easy the air was, stop paying attention to really where I was, and then mishandled the event. It should have been at the top of it, hands up. And so the first thing I did when I went to the new SIV, knowing I had screwed up and what the right thing to do was I did a lot of that same sequence. So would get high, go slack line, let the wing fly away. And I did a lot of stall recovers. And I realized what I was doing with the C wing, I've got a Delta 4 now, and coming out of the stall, I was easing out of the stall instead of letting it fly and fixing it and catching it out in front of me. I was trying to sort of milk it out, and any little asymmetry that way started a helicopter. And so I remembered that I was having trouble with that. But I think that was my biggest takeaway, was let the damn thing fly and fix it out in front of you.
Wow. And so close to the cliff too. You had to make some, conscious decisions like, hey, you know what, if I can't fix this right now, I mean, you had like milliseconds to make a decision to throw your reserve.
It wasn't milliseconds, but it was enough that I knew I don't have time to screw up another recovery and then fly. And I'm spinning, so I'm getting a view of the side of El Cap and then clear air and then a view of the side of El Cap. And I'm thinking, I don't have confidence in the way that this is going to exit. And
yeah,
I want to be under reserve now. So
you did the right thing, throw your reserve. And obviously when you're in a situation where it's like, okay, I feel like the wing's flying me and I'm just a passenger, not, and especially in that, had you, pounded in and survived, you'd have said, oh, I should have threw. So you did the right thing. I know that's obvious, but I think that was a big takeaway I got from Brad Ganuccio. It's like, don't be ashamed to throw.
Yeah,
that literally saved your life.
Yeah, I don't have any regrets for tossing when I did. I have a lot of regrets for doing what I was doing, where I was doing, and not being in a solid box to start maneuvers. That low over the side of El Cap was not the right place to be doing spirals and wingovers, for sure. And would have liked to have had more SIV leading up to that on that particular wing.
By the way, this show is brought to you by Nebraska PPG. If you guys know Josh Bowden, he runs a school there in Nebraska. He's one of the sponsors of the show. You can either reach out to him if you want to get some training. He's got a great spot there in Nebraska. It's not too late. There's still some couple of months worth before it turns freezing cold. Reach out to him on the link in the description. Also, the show is brought to you by iFly Indiana Powered Paragliding. If you're interested in flying paramotors, no better place to get the proper training than iflyindiana.com. Kevin and his team will get your feet off the ground. Also, the show is brought to you by Lone Star Paramotor. If you're in the Lone Star state of Texas, you can reach out to Ron Turan and his team for world-class training. His website, lonestarparamotor.com. So you're camped out on the side of El Cap, reflecting, but also at any point were you thinking, you know what, maybe I'll just, suck it up and try to hike out of here?
Yeah, definitely. My foot, I could barely put any weight on my foot coming out. And it was, I thought, there might be a way for me to self-extract out of here, but I'm going to be on my butt scrambling and sliding through there. And it didn't feel safe at the time. And then that was nicely validated a little later. We've got such an amazing group here, as I said, in San Diego. Chris Souther and Nick Hawks went to retrieve the gear, and they tried to center punch the gully I was in, and we're kind of cliffed out. So I was glad in the end that I didn't suck it up and try to get out. But yeah, it's never a good feeling to have somebody come get you.
Yeah. What happened to your gear afterwards?
So great story. So we had two extremely fit friends of mine, Chris Souther and Nick, trying the first day. They volunteered to go in and get the gear, and they went to the bottom of the park and hiked up. I don't even know how high is El Cap. I don't even know that.
El Cap's 3,200 feet, but right there on the face, it's about 2,900.
Yeah. So they punched through a bunch of scrub and center punched it trying to get to the gear, and they got cliffed out. But I was very appreciative of their attempt to go in, and they figured out that the best way to do it was to fly over with paragliders, but with some rope gear. So a couple days later, Davis and Brandon, who are two other local pilots here in San Diego, geared up. They took some climbing gear in their paragliders launched from Blossom, flew across to the top of Blossom, landed, and then hiked in a little bit to the top of the cliff, set up a line, rappelled in, retrieved my gear, Jumar'd back out, and then they spent the night up there because by the time they had gotten in, and gotten the gear retrieved, it was too late to fly off. And then they almost spent another day up there. They woke up the next morning, and it's San Diego. You don't think about the weather that much, but big marine layer had come through and it was socked in, so they were stuck for a number of hours on the wet top of El Cap. So
That happened to me.
yeah, did it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and Nick Hawks. It turned out to be amazing.
Yeah,
We didn't bring our wings out until it dried up, but
Yeah, exactly. But they were able to split the gear up between them, and weather topped out just enough for them to get off, and they flew it down to the valley for me. So appreciative of their work. Although I give them a little crap because they didn't find my reserve bag. So I tell them the job's not 100% done.
jeez.
So
So
it's nice to have good friends.
did you say that they brought you your gear back and you just told them it's yours? How did that go down?
No, I was saying that they, as part of the reserve throw, my reserve deployment bag flew away, and I was giving them a little bit of stick that they didn't.
Oh, they
retrieve that.
didn't get
They
that?
didn't. So I know.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I said. It's kind of
Kidding
unacceptable.
me. What kind of
I figured, what kind of friends are they?
they drove around for Amber's bag for like an hour.
Yeah,
The
I'm
boats.
regretting that now. I didn't think that would be a big deal, but I've got a Advance Impress 4, and it's got a fairly unique deployment bag on it, and I
Yeah.
can't get a replacement for it.
Oh
So
no.
There's nowhere in the U.S. that has it. Superfly, he went over to, or Chris went over to the Akira Open or whatever it's called. He went over to Switzerland,
Yeah.
talked to Advance, and they don't have an ETA for him, like, because of all the Vietnam shutdown. So
Oh,
um,
we talked to Chris. He can make one.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking, is maybe try to get somebody to make one up.
But you almost have to have one to be able to recreate.
I'm happy to steal somebody's for a couple days.
Yeah. So you did get your gear back. Was it damaged?
It was, but only because I damaged it. So when I landed and the wing ended up in
Surge.
front of me over
Can
the
you-
top of a tree.
Can you share that video?
Yeah,
Is that okay?
it's not a great video, but you can get an idea of what happened. So
Yeah, no, it's great. It's way better than I thought it was going to be.
this was, I think it was Brandon that took this. And before I hit play, you can see the reserve out here and the wings out front. So you can see the downplane between the two.
Thanks, Brandon.
So hit on the side.
Oh yeah.
And it'll slow down in the next one here. That's in slow motion. But you can see how much the wing was downplaning. I paid attention to that at the SIV. It looked just from the naked eye that you're getting about twice as much speed into the ground when the wing's downplaning than if you kill the wing and get the reserve to fly appropriately.
Yeah. The downplaning. What can you give us like a description of what it felt like going in fast downplaning?
Kind of a blur. Everybody says time slows down when stuff like that happens. That wasn't the case for me. It felt fast coming in. And I definitely felt like, okay, there's a high likelihood I'm going to be injured pretty badly, in this. So I was really focused on trying to minimize that through getting turned in my harness, because the wing was kind of turning at the time, or the wing turned me into it. And so I was trying to figure out where I was going to hit and get my body positioned to take the impact.
Oh my gosh.
I think it was probably from the time the event started to hitting the deck, 12 seconds, something like that. So not not tons of time, but enough time to, take in what was happening.
And I like the idea of, having some friends around. They probably, I would argue that having somebody there was kind of made you feel a little bit better. Those guys probably stuck around for a little while.
Yeah, definitely, which was awesome. So a bunch of the guys, Tony and Jerry, and there's a bunch of guys that stayed around, helped coordinate with the fire department to let them know, where I was. And I didn't think I'd be spending the night out there to start. I thought, well, I'll probably be able to get out of here. But it was really nice to have that crew that was there.
Jim CR120, he was talking about, was it cold up there? And then he talked about spending the night outside when it's not planned, and where it's not planned can bring its challenges, critters, animals, dehydration. He said, was he able to sleep? That's a great question.
I did get a couple hours sleep, which was nice. My foot was killing me. It was throbbing. And it took me a while to find sort of a position that was comfortable. I was able to take my harness and use that kind of as a bed. I was able to wedge it into a little rock. So I was worried about where I was kind of rolling and falling down the cliff, but I was able to get that wedged in. And then, started with wrapping myself in the wing for warmth. It wasn't a cold night. Like, I would have been fine, but it was chilly. But the wing had plenty of warmth. But then I realized I could upgrade by changing from the wing to the reserve, which is that nice silky smooth. So it was a much more comfortable experience wrapped up in that versus my wing.
Turn your wing into a pillow, wrap yourself in silk.
Yeah.
Watch the stars.
My little teddy bear now is my part of my kit, because it was hard to sleep without the teddy bear.
Yeah.
Reserve glass of wine.
But I always have in that, I had a headlamp and an extra battery in the deck. And those two things were pretty crucial, especially the headlamp, like be able to take the headlamp, turn it into flashing mode, and hold that up for the helicopter to see it at night. They mentioned that was really helpful for them in terms of finding you. Having, even if it's a sight flying day, having a little bit of water with you, just, if you're going to spend the night, just a few small things to make it a little more pleasant experience.
So you brought a snack and you had a little bit of water?
I didn't have water or food, but
no water,
for 12 hours, not a big deal. But if I had done that elsewhere, I would have been pretty pissed off. So
yeah, I have two not liters. I guess it's considered 1 liter of water.
Yep. Yeah.
I two of these guys.
It was the difference in my headspace between a cross country day and being prepared, and how I let myself, like, on a side flying day, just be like, yeah, it's a side flying day. I'm relaxed, the complacency of it, complacency and being prepared for it, complacency and, not paying attention to the flying. Gotcha. So that's the killer in aviation.
My word. Yeah, well, I'm glad you're okay, and some really incredible stuff to learn. As I said before the show, I really appreciate you being bold enough and humble enough to say, hey, I made a mistake, and you learned some lessons, and to come on the show and talk about it. I mean, that's a really big deal to the flying community and people. Every pilot that I know, it's the opposite of what you think. You think, oh, they're gonna think I'm a poor pilot. They're gonna think I suck. That was stupid. I jeopardized the site. All that. There might be a fraction of a percent of people that react that way. Everybody else that I know, talking to people, was like, man, that the fact that you were willing to talk about it right afterwards and you were open about it, just that's huge, man. So I really appreciate you being that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's aviation, it'll kill you. So I think it's all of us need to have that, being able to help each other by sharing stories of things that have gone wrong. Hopefully somebody else doesn't make the same mistake.
Yep. Well, we're at the 7:00 mark. I do want to mention Torrey Pines Glider Port. If you want to get training here in Southern California, it's an amazing place. Check out their website, flytorrey.com. That's FLYTORREY.com. Craig Taylor, You got the stage.
Muted.
Greg
Yeah, he's got it.
Taylor.
He's doing it.
Coming.
He's got it.
Yeah, I'm switching through screens because I'm doing a different job. But I do have something to say about Resurgence. PPG is
Oh,
a
yeah.
501c3 nonprofit by veterans for veterans. Please sign up to smile.amazon.com. They will take care of the donations for your general purchases. It's a great foundation. Those guys do need help. They always could use your support. Resurgenceppg.com.
Oh, I think you muted yourself, Craig.
That happened.
There you go.
Start over.
So
No, it's not the whole thing. Just the last part.
fly safe, check your NOTAMs and TFRs, and watch out for your buddies.
Watch out for your buddies. So appreciate you guys. Amazing group of people. You guys, paraglidingtalk.com. It's more than just a show. It's a family. You guys are awesome. So thank you so much. We're going to go to the after show. If you want to hang out for a little bit, we'll hold David hostage for at least 5 more minutes. If you want to jump on, maybe you want to ask him a question or you want an autograph, whatever. We've got some great stuff lined up next week. Andrew Fuller is going to come on the show. It'll be a great time. There's some fresh drama, so you'll enjoy.
He's always been a
that
great
show.
guest too.
Oh yeah,
A wealth of knowledge.
He's awesome. You're really going to enjoy that show, so don't miss that. If you have somebody that you're fascinated with seeing on the show, message me. Gladly reach out to those people and get them on the show to satisfy your desires. Paraglidingtalk.com. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. If I don't see you on there, I'll see you in there. Thanks for watching. See you guys.